Guys, it's me. So, with the impending nature of Next Box and PlayStation 5, I find myself on most days scurrying around the internet, looking at videos, reading articles, trying to get a beat on what the next step is. For you guys, I want to make sure I keep you involved and informed because, you're my subscribers. I give a toss about you. Anyway, so the one thing I've not seen any other YouTubers talking about, or any articles for that matter, now bear mind I'm one man, so I might have missed something, is what are these games going to come on if indeed they come on physical media? Now you're like going, what do you mean? We got Blu-ray. Blu-ray is like 60 gig. It's like, yeah, it's 60 gig. But games are only getting bigger. I mean, look at half the games that are coming out nowadays with these day one patches that are so big. Sometimes the day one patch dwarfs the game on the disc. Or it's like half the data of the disc. It's like you have so much stuff coming down the line. Coming online to your machine that a lot of the time, the game you've bought is merely a key to the other half of the software. It's like, what? So, the question becomes, what on earth are these games going to come on if they come on physical? Because I don't think we're ready yet for a fully digital future. Some people are, but not everybody is. Because there are large chunks of the planet where internet is crap. There's no two ways about it. I mean, big chunks of central, the middle America, parts of rural England, and there are parts of mainland Europe and stuff. There are basically lots of places where people play video games, but where the internet just isn't that great. So you begin to run into troubles when it comes to storage. Because aside from the fact that you may have a partner that's not keen on you having a massive video game collection, not everybody is lucky enough to have one of those, let alone have a partner that understands the idea of you wanting to have such a thing. But it's also the space on the actual discs. I mean, like I said, 60 gig on a Blu-ray. Now, that sounds like a lot, but it isn't. And it's certainly, getting close to the idea of not being enough. So if you're having to buy games for the next generation, and the next generation, as far as we're concerned, is going to be all singing, all dancing, mad graphics and incredible sound and sophisticated AI and lighting effects up the wazoo. And then we have to start thinking about what are these things going to come on. Are they going to come on something like a BDXL, or they kind of come on 4K Blu-ray, both of which are formats that were being spoken about 3-4 years ago, but nobody's ever spoken about since. And these are like high-end, high compression Blu-rays, which is great. I mean, there are some people that do buy. I think it's something akin to a 4K Blu-ray or even 4K Blu-rays for like real cinemaphiles who have like a proper big TV and a sound system and a dedicated Blu-ray player, not just using a games console like a lot of us do, which is a cheaper way of getting yourself a Blu-ray player. Or at least it used to be. I mean, now you can probably pick up like, a Blu-ray player that's just a bog standard player, probably in like Asda for maybe about 60 quid or something, because we all saw it happen with DVD back in the day. Those of us that are old enough to remember when DVDs first came out, people were like, "Oh, dude, you've got a DVD player, that must have set you back." The guy goes, "Oh yeah, it cost me about 500 quid." Really? Whoa. Well, now you could probably pick one up in Asda for like about 50, if that. And don't even talk about buying like a second-hand system. You could probably get like a PS3 Super Slim for probably about 30 quid online, probably run around eBay for a little bit and you probably find yourself a good bargain. So, Blu-ray technology has come down in price, and like all technology, the prices depreciate eventually. So I'm assuming there's probably relatively cheap Blu-ray players these days. So we have to think that, like, at some point there would have been more talk of 4K Blu-ray if that had been the case, but I think that's still fairly specialist. I'll have to look that up, but I think I'm fairly certain about that. So you got your BDXL, you got your 4K Blu-ray, but as far as I'm concerned, they don't get that much. I think it's maybe like about 80, maybe 90 gig. So then we have to go to the Holy Grail, don't we? We have to go to 1 terabyte. And the only thing I can think of that goes to 1 terabyte are SSD cards. Now there are SSD cards that do a terabyte, but I don't know how much they cost. I've heard they cost somewhere around about 65-70 quid. And if that's the case, then that dovetails into the discussion I had with you guys a while ago about maybe games should be a little bit more expensive, to help like with unionization and with, not having so much stuff broken away out of the games, because we do have a case now where there's a lot of things that are made in the game and then taken out of the game and then sold to you separately, just so they can make more money out of the game. Because seldom does a game these days come completely feature complete. That's just a fact of modern gaming. It's a sad fact, but it is a true fact. So, if we have micro SDs for gaming, that's probably going to bring down the box size. I mean, that's effectively what Nintendo are doing. Admittedly, it's a proprietary format, but that's effectively what Nintendo are doing. They're making, SD card games. And it has to be said, the one thing about cartridge over disc, which has always been true, you can go right back to the Mega Drive or even the Master System and the SNES and the NES and all the rest of it, is those games load real fast. And with modern compression and the way that we store video and stuff, FMVs and the rest of it, not a problem at all. In fact, if anything, you could probably do various kinds of programming and coding tricks that we didn't have back in those days. And when you start to really think it through, SD is probably the way to go. It's more durable, although admittedly it is small and possibly losable, but it doesn't scratch. So that does mean that, like, you still have something you can trade in at the end of the day. You still have a physical product that not only is more durable, but can be traded in. And it'd be kind of nice to think that if you have an SD card of game, then perhaps we could go back to the days of storing some, or at least a little bit, of the game save data on the actual disc. And if you can search gameplay data on the disc, then that means you can take the disc to your mate's house and play with your stuff then, and not have to worry so much about signing into PSN, or even better still, that the PSN sign-in data is within that little disc. So then it automatically loads up your profile onto your friend's PlayStation, your PlayStation 5 or your Next Box, and you're automatically signed in and you're all ready to go, and you make it happen on his system. In fact, you could even have an idea where, like, you could probably have two of the same game plugged in, if it was like a fighting game, and you could both be playing your profiles with the discs. I mean, there's loads of possibilities. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you could probably have 4 slots to plug the SD card in on a next generation machine. And therefore, you could have 4 games in it. Think about that. 4 physical games on your system at any given time. No more swapping in and out of discs, which means you got less chance of losing the little fellas. Now, I think that's a pretty spanky idea. You know, I could be wrong, but I kind of like that. So, you know, you have smaller boxes, which means you use less resources, which is better for the planet. You have something that is more portable, more durable, you know. And I think will, you know, actually, once technology gets going and this format, if it was to be the case, was to take off properly, the prices would drop. I mean, prices of like a 16 gigabyte SD card a few years ago were stupid. Now they're quite reasonable. You know, in fact, I would say they're super reasonable. So these things can only get cheaper. And then once we're used to these tiny formats, then I think it's not that much of a leap to go from a tiny format to no format. You know? Then that way it's like towards the end or the middle of the PlayStation 5 and Next Box life cycles, they begin to push more and more and more towards, you know, a non-physical format machine. These machines can be that way because they won't need to have a fully working drive. Now there is a downside for this, however. It means you're going to have the ports for the memory sticks, and you're going to also have to have a disk drive for the last generation titles for both machines, because both machines have to be in this climate backwards compatible to at least the previous generation, especially when it comes to Microsoft, because Microsoft keep talking about having a family of devices, and Sony need to do it because, you know, they talked about how the PlayStation 5 is going to be running a similar kind of architecture to the PlayStation 4, which means they have to be thinking about that. They can't get left behind by Microsoft on backwards compatibility again. Even though backwards compatibility, to my mind, is not really that much of a thing. It's a nice thing, don't get me wrong. I think it's a lovely thing to have, the ability to go back and play older stuff on your new machine. Brilliant! But how often do you really use it? I mean, like, I still have my 60 gig or PS3, but I'm on it less and less and less as the years go by. I don't not like my PS3. In fact, I fucking love my PS3, but I'm just not on it that much anymore. This is a simple reality. So we move towards a diskless future. You know, no more physical media, but we still have games for the last generation, and some of us have DVD and Blu-ray collections. Trust me, I've got a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays. So I would like to know that I would still have a device to play those on without having to possibly have to hang on to my PS4, although I may have to do that because I don't know if Share Factory will be on the PlayStation 5. It might not be. I might have to hang on to my PS4 just so I can still make videos. Although it's going to be interesting trying to make videos with PlayStation 5 content in them if I don't have Share Factory. So I really hope I have Share Factory in that. Otherwise I'm going to have to rely solely on my PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 games for making video content. I don't want that. Anyway guys, tell me what you think. Typing down below. I'm going to end this video here. I think I've spoken for quite long enough, so please remember to rate, favourite, comment, share, subscribe. Of course, as always, aye, nae bother.